All right, so working through the review, your calculator does make it easier, but I will also be discussing how to do it without a calculator. So the first portion is just vocabulary. All you're doing is matching the words to the definitions on your actual final. So the linear parent function is just y equals x. It's the most basic function that you can have, because I don't know about your parents, but my parents are super basic. Point slope form, this can be found on your salmon sheet. It's y minus blank equals blank, parentheses x minus blank, where this is your y1, this is your slope, and this is your x1. The quadratic parent function, now that it's quadratic, it's still basic, but it has to have the squared. And then slope-intercept form, big mama slope, you've got y equals mx plus your y-intercept b. Determine whether the following is a function or not a function. To determine whether it's a function, you need to look at the x values. So we have 4, 2, 1, 3, and negative 1. None of those repeat, so it is a function. Which graph represents y as a function of x? This is where you use the vertical line test. So that touches more than once, only touches once, only touches once. This is a function. If I go here, I'm touching at several points. Here, I'm touching twice. What is the domain? Don't forget the doctor. The doctor's name is xy, so domain is x. So your list of all of your x values are 1, 2, 3, 4. What is the range of the functions shown? So just like the doctor's name, the range is now y values. And we also have robot. So bottom to top. So draw the bottom of your box and the top of your box. So the bottom is down here at negative 2. And the top is up here at 7. Which value of x makes the equation true? Okay, so we can do this two different places. We can do this on the graph. Type it in as a relation. 3x minus parentheses, negative 2 minus 5x close parentheses equals negative 4, parentheses, negative 3 minus 2, close parentheses, plus 2. Click enter. Even if you can't see it, if you click menu 5.1, it'll jump exactly where it's at, and it's at 2.5. You can also do it on the home calculate screen. So if you go to calculate, menu, this is algebra, and we're just solving that one equation. 3x minus parentheses negative 2 minus 5x close parentheses equals negative 4 parentheses negative 3x minus 2 close parentheses plus 2. But then you have to tell it what to solve for. So comma x. And this time I got negative 2. So because I got two different answers, I went back to my graph and I noticed right here, I forgot to type in this x. So enter, menu, 5.1, and it is at negative 2. So good thing I checked both methods. Right? What is the y-intercept? So you're looking to see where it crosses the y-axis, which is right here at 3. Which equation is equivalent to the equation 3x minus 5y equals negative 25? So I can type that first equation in as a relation, menu 3.2. I'll type in 3x minus 5y equals negative 25. And I need to look to see which one is equivalent. So I can see right away that that's a positive slope, and this is the only one with a positive slope. But I'm going to check. So menu 3.1, and I type in 3 divided by 5x plus 5. And that went directly on top of it, so that is your answer. Okay, now it's giving me a different function. So I delete these. Menu 3, 1, because it does start y equals 3 divided by 4x plus 2. You click Control T to see the table, and because that 16 is inside the parentheses, it is the x value. So we scroll down until you see 16 in the x, and it's right here at 14. So now they're giving us a different equation. Control T to make the table go away. Menu 3, 1, because it does start with y equals 0.75, parentheses, x minus 2, close parentheses. And this time that 3 is outside of the parentheses, so I know that it is the y value. So Control T, I'm looking for a 3 in the y, and it matches up with 6. All right, which table represents y as a function of x? This means that the x does not repeat. So we have 3, 1, negative 1, 3 again. Okay, 2, 2, 2, 2. Negative 5, 0, negative 5, 10. Negative 2, 0, 2, and 4. This is the only one that has all different values. My x does not repeat. Now, before we go on to the next one, go ahead into that top right corner and draw a x. Put an x in that top right corner right over there. Okay, on 15, a certain function contains the ordered pairs to the table to the right. What is the slope? Anytime it's asking me for slope, I can put it in my table. So Control T, I'm going to delete these. So I go home, I go to my table, label the top as x, the top as y, and I type in negative 2, 0, 4, negative 4, 1, 11. That's not an 11. Menu, 4, 1, and then 3, because this is linear. It's asking for slope. So my m is 2.5. Well, none of those answers look like 2.5. Obviously, it's not 3. Obviously, it's not 6. But to see which one of those it is, if I go back to my calculate, okay, and I type in 3 divided by 2, if you click Control Enter, it'll change it to a decimal. So this is 1.5. 5 divided by 2, Control Enter, is 2.5. You could also do it by hand. To get from negative 4 to 1, you add 5. To get from negative 2 to 0, you add 2. So your slope is delta y over delta x. 16. The table represents some points on the graph of a linear function. Which equation represents the same relationship? Okay, so I have some points, so I'm going to put them in stat. All right, so my m is 0.33 repeating, okay? So I know that that's not a regular 3, so the slope's not 3, the slope's not 3. I bet you it's going to equal 1/3. If I want to check, I can go to my calculate screen. 1 divided by 3. Yes, that's the same thing. All right, so now I've got to figure out which point matches up. So they're using this negative 714. But remember, your x is a liar, so it actually needs to be positive 7. So the answer is D. This is also point slope form, so y minus blank equals blank, parentheses x minus blank. So the negative 7 would go here, 14 goes here, 1/3 goes here. What makes Miss Smith unhappy? The double negative, so it's y minus 14 equals 1/3 x plus 7. Which table represents the function y equals 4x minus 6 with a domain means means x of 1, 2, 3. This does not have a domain of 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I need to see what matches up with it. So because it's an equation, I'm going to go to my graph and type it in. Menu 3, 1. And I type in 4x minus 6. Control T, and I can see the table. So 1 matches up with negative 2, then positive 2, and then 6. Total Rental Company charges a rental fee and then a set fee per mile driven. Per, this is telling us slope. Using the graph provided, what does Total charge for the rental fee? So it's not asking for the slope, it's asking for that initial value, that rental fee. So this is starting right here at about 32. Which of the following represents a line with an undefined slope? Okay, we have either Vux to help us with undefined slope, which tells us the equation is x equals a number. So it is A. But we also have slope man. This is positive, this is negative, undefined, and 0. And don't forget your chin taps. Scratch your chin when you ask yourself why, and then x equals a number goes here. So because it wants an undefined slope, that means it's a vertical line, and the equation is x equals a number. Which function represents a directly proportional situation? This means that it is linear, and it goes through the origin. Okay, so here, this is curved. This is not linear. It's hard to tell from a table, so let's look at this one. Oh, it's linear, but does it go through the origin? No. This one, linear, but it's not going through the origin, it's going through the negative 2. So the answer has to be that table B. You can also tell because the y over x is the same. 4 divided by 1 is 4. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay, let's look at some more vocab. So slope, this is the rate of change. The y-intercept, where the function crosses the y-axis. Domain is the list of all x values. Range is the list of all y values. 25. The graph of linear function f is shown on the grid. What is the 0 of the function? Don't forget, math rocks. Roots, zeros, x-intercepts. So all it's asking for is what is the x-intercept of that graph? So it's right here at positive 3. What is the slope of the line represented by this equation? This is slope-intercept form. The slope is just right there in front of the x, and it's the negative 3/4. What is the equation of a line that passes through this point and has a slope of 0? That means we're using HOI. Horizontal line, 0 slope, and it's y equals a number. So it's got to be y equal, so it's not b or d. And looking at these, what does the y equal? The y is 7. Which ordered pair is in the solution set for that inequality? If I was to do it by hand, I know it starts at 5, and it goes down 3 over 1. Down 3 over 1. It's going to be a dotted line because it doesn't have the line underneath the inequality, and it's going to be shaded below. So then it's asking which of those points is in the shaded area. So negative 1, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that looks like it's in there. 1, 5 is definitely not. 3, negative 1 is not. 5, negative 3 is not. So your answer is A. If you struggle with graphing, remember, we can graph on our calculator. Control T. I'll delete this. So menu 3, 2. Y, control equals to get the less than symbol. Negative 3x plus 5. And there it is graphed for me. If I want to see the grid lines, menu 2, grid, lined grid, and now I can check my specific points and see which one is in the shaded area. Which situation represents a causation? Is where you ask yourself, does it have to happen? Okay, so here, when the temperature decreases, does the ice cream sales have to decrease? No. When the number of items sold increases, the amount of money earned increases. If you're off sales, yes, that has to happen. I think that's going to be my answer. When a person's age increases, their tongue length decreases. I have no idea what happens to your tongue as you get older. When the miles driven increase, their income decreases. No, how long you drive has nothing to do with your income. So the answer is B. How are the graphs of the function f of x and g of x related if g of x equals f of x plus 5? So I'm going to go to my graph, and I can type these in. So I'm assuming that the original is the parent function. Okay, and then I'm going to do menu 3, 1, parentheses x plus 5. If it wanted to be the quadratic parent function, sometimes it's easier to tell. So let's go ahead and change this to quadratic parent function as well. Let's grab them both. All right, so here's my original in red, and there's the new one in black. All it did was go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left. There you go. Which equation describes the line passing through these 2 points? They're giving me 2 points, so I'm going to put it in stat. So I go to the table, delete, 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 delete. So my points are 5 and negative 5, and then negative 1 and positive 5. So it's negative 0.6x plus 2. So I can see that my y-intercept needs to be plus 2, so it's not B or A. And it's a negative slope, so it's got to be C. Just to check, negative 3 divided by 5, control enter. Yes, that is negative 0.6. Last one for this page, given f of x equals, so they're giving me an equation. Go to my graph, menu 3, 1. 1 divided by 4, parentheses, 5 minus x, close parentheses, squared. What is the value of f of 9? So 9, because it's in the parentheses, is the x value. So control T. So when the x value is 9, it is 4.